Good morning. This is Arlene Wilson, Master Gardener from Yates County Cooperative Extension, with another update on how my garden grows. So I'm going to show you three things that I'm working on. This is a great season to plant a second crop. If you have things that are done growing, you can clean those out from your gardens and you can put some new things in. So I'm going to put in some spinach and some lettuce. And so I put the seeds in and I'm just going to show you where those are, and I'm going to water, and then we're going to look at some other things that need some pruning back. All right, so let's start with what I call the side yard against the stockade fence. So here, you can't really see it, but under the grass, I have put some spinach seeds. If you can get some seeds from a local place, that is ideal. If not, there is online. And it was a 2-week wait for my online seed. So hopefully you can find somewhere from a local greenhouse and be persistent. And so again, we're still in this little bit of heat, so you want to make sure you're doing your watering. And in between these strawberries, I put some spinach seeds, so I'm going to make sure and water those areas. And I've added some of my favorite plant vitamin and nutrient booster, which is Miracle-Gro. So I've added some of that to the water, and so that part is done. Of course, there's always an old reusable plastic bag. Reuse, reduce, recycle. It's all good. All right, so that is that part. Now over here, we're coming into the end of the growing season, and so we have some new challenges. There are different things that I can harvest, which is great, but I want to show you and talk to you about the issue of pruning. So right here, you can see my zucchini, my green griller zucchinis, have this white powder on the leaves. That is known as powdery mildew, which is not a good thing. So it's going to slowly destroy the leaves. And so what you want to do now, it is the battle to remove the powdery mildew leaves where you can, so your plants can grow. And this powdery mildew will eventually kill off the plant. But the goal is that I get as much plant as I can before that mildew sets in. So if the mildew is here until the first frost, that might be 4 weeks, 6 weeks. So I want to get as much crop as I can in these remaining couple of weeks. So I'm gonna prune off as much of these powdery mildewy leaves as possible. So my last couple of plants, as you can see down here, I've got 2 that are still growing, can get as much growth as possible. Now, here's where we have to make the tough decision, the sacrificial decisions for our harvest. So, as you can see, I'm cutting back, so there are 2 green griller squash. So I want those to get as big as possible. I'm gonna pull out some of this morning glory that's in here. And so I want to get as much as possible. So I want these to grow as much as possible. I want to get as much sun on them as possible. So I'm pulling back the leaves. We're still getting some heat, but I'm wanting these plants to grow as much as possible in these last couple of weeks. And so I've got 1 here, I've got another, and then I've got a 3rd one starting to bloom. starting to, that's germinated from a blossom. All right, so that is my strategy. So I'm going to get all of these bagged up and away from the garden. And so you get this powdery mildew when you have a lot of moisture. And so if you've been getting these heavy rains, but it's also been dry. And powdery mildew, hopefully you can hear me over the bag rustling. Powdery mildew travels. So it's something that sets in the South, your Florida and your Carolinas, because of course they're in a different growing zone than we are. And so everything germinates there sooner. And these disease type of things come there sooner. But they travel north with just regular wind and birds and insects. And so they slowly migrate north. So we see them start to come into our area. And so that is just something that we see more and more of. So you don't get discouraged or frustrated when you get these kind of things. Now you look at it as the great garden race. What am I going to get versus what is Mother Nature or these molds going to stop me from getting? So I am determined I will get 3 green griller squash before the first frost, and some good sized ones that I can then take into the house. I can grate, I can put in a freezer bag, and I can eat off of for the winter. I also, hey, here's a nice surprise. So I'm now trimming back the leaves on my acorn squash. Same type of issue. It's got some type of bugs have taken a liking to eating this. So I'm going to trim off some of these leaves as well. And move these out. So I'm going to trim off some of those leaves. And as you see, we still got a bee trying to do that pollination thing. So I might get one last acorn squash, but I got one here. So here's a pleasant surprise. So I'm going to let him sit and rest and grow. And I'm going to watch these leaves, and any leaves that start to get diseasey or the bugs are having a field day with, I'm going to start thinning those out so my acorn squash can get the nutrients through the stems, and the plant is not pushing energy and nutrients to dying leaves. Instead, it's going to push the energy and the nutrients to those fruit that are on the vine. So that is the strategy. Looky, we got another acorn squash. You can see that right there at the tip of my pen. I'm pointing to it. So that's also in my rose garden. So that's a good spot because that is a spot that squirrels and chipmunks can't get to easily. So it's going to have a good time and be safe growing in there. So coming around here, again, I'm going to look for leaves that I can remove. So this long vine has got to get nutrients way from over here over to there and in the rose bush. So that's a good 3 to 6 feet of travel. So anything that's going to stop that nutrition, I am going to get rid of it because I want my squash to grow and to thrive. So again, I'm going to see what branches, what leaves can be removed to help that grow as much as possible. All right, so thinning. And here we've got vine. Let's see if anything is growing on this vine. Yes, we got an acorn squash back there. So I'm going to leave that vine intact. We got a tomato. All right, so Mr. Tomato, you also are going to go in the harvest basket. Where's Mr. Harvest Basket? Here we are. Come, Mr. Basket. I'll work for you. So, as I'm pruning these leaves back, we also want to look at pruning the tomatoes back. So, we're getting a little less sun every day because we're coming right at that, coming near to that autumnal equinox. So, the longest days of the year were in June and July, so now we're losing a couple minutes every day. So we want to maximize the sun that these fruits get. Any blossoms that are on the tomato plants, you can cut those. You can trim those leaves off because you don't have another 60 days for tomatoes to fully grow before frost comes. So you want every tomato you have on your vines to get the maximum amount of sun. And so we want to remove as much leaf cover as possible so they can get more sun. So you'll have to excuse our dogs next door. These neighbors got these dogs that don't play well in groups. Always fussing and barking at everything. Little ankle biters. I do like dogs. I just don't like dogs that bark all the time. There's a squirrel that barks. There's a bird that barks. There's another dog that barks. The wind blows, it barks. So that's my issue. That's my issue. So we see this little scabby formation here. This is a sign that not quite enough water. So I'm going to make a point to get a little more water over here for this tomato plant. And now I've removed some of the leaves here. I want to remove this whole branch here. Do this gently so I can get more sun for these tomatoes here. And I get a lot of sun, so I don't want everything fully exposed, but I do want as much, a little less shade, little less shade, little less shade. So there's some shade, but a little less. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tomatoes that are going to be harvested on this plant. That's good. That's good. All right. All right. Moving on. All right. I've got 2 basil plants still here. So again, we'll leave those, and the next time I want to do something, I will harvest basil. So I learned a great little trick this week thanks to my son, who is 26, eek, and working but living at home, and likes pesto. Never been a huge fan of pesto. It's alright, but never been a huge fan. It's okay. But he bought pesto. I'm like, can I use your pesto and cook? He's like, sure, Mom. And so what I did was I harvested about 2 cups of basil, and I added that to the pesto. So again, if you want to expand your repertoire, maybe you don't want to make pesto, but you can definitely harvest. Ooh, look at zucchini. I'm taking you. I like these small. I know some people like them big, but I like these more manageable sizes. They're much more tender to cook, and they saute nicely. And of course, now since I got zucchini, I got to have some basil. So let me put some basil in there. That might be lunch or dinner. We'll see what I feel like doing in midday. Alright. Let's see what else we got here. We got some green tomatoes. I'm going to leave you guys. And you guys are getting some color here. pruned. So these friends can get some color and redden up on the vine. You know, reddening up in the house is okay, but on the vine, the flavor profile cannot be beat. And that's Arlene throwing it over there. So again, I want those to get as much light as possible. I see a red guy back here. Pick you. Oh, you got a little rotten. Bummer, some bugs got to you. Yuck. All right, you go in the trash. If you have a compost bin, you can probably put that in there as well. I'm not a composter, so I don't have that. All right, let's see if there's any other leaves that can be thinned. So again, trying to maximize the growing for my zucchini. I've got 3 more flowers, and if they don't grow zucchini in the next week or so, then I will use those buds and stuff some cheese in them and fry up some zucchini blossoms. All right. So we still have the morning glory here. And so, again, you see one is actually blooming over there, morning glory. So that's still attracting pollinators. So we still got some chances of getting some over here. So you see the powdery mildew is starting to come to the zucchini leaves as well. So again, the opportunities to thin those out so that spreads slower. And my plant is not expending a lot of energy trying to keep sickly leaves well. Instead, let's expend the energy to grow that zucchini. So I'm going to thin out some of these leaves over here. And that should help with the zucchini growth. All right, I also got one. I see one. A bug is eating a lot over here. All right. That one. So that goes again in the waste bin. In the waste bin. And all that's going to go in the trash can when I'm done. All right. So we're going to get a little more light up in here. A little more light for everybody. All right. Now, let's see what's on the other side of the zucchini. All right. All right. So we've got another plant here. It looks like we've really borne any fruit. We've been here a while, so I'm probably going to give up on this guy. I'm going to pull him up. See if anything comes from this plant. Okay, I'm going to give you one more time. I'm going to give you a couple more weeks. I'm torn on this one because nothing is really coming to fruition here. So maybe I will just harvest the blossoms. That cherry tomato fell. You trying to get away? Oh no. Alright. So these plants, I'm going to call you call it a day. And I'm going to see if there's any more blossoms here. And then I'm going to harvest that last blossom. And you go in the waste pile. All right. And then, see if there's any beans left. Couple last beans to harvest. And then, again, this will be a spot. I may kind of plant some broccoli here, because that's a winter crop, late fall, winter. Let's see how we do with that. if I can find some seeds or seedlings. Just a couple little beans left. So you probably got one more week. And then my good friend over here, land of cherry tomatoes. Yay! So, I'm a huge lover of cherry tomatoes. It's so easy. You just literally throw it in your mouth. You can put it in a salad. You can cut it. You cannot cut it. Just so many options. And they're all easy. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. My husband bought me a nice salad from Burger King yesterday. So I appreciate that. Trying to be a little healthier. Working hard. Got me a nice salad. It had one little sad. Half a slice of tomato in it. I said, oh, we can do way better than this. And then I go and come and get 6 cherry tomatoes and made that salad look happy. Made that salad look very happy. All right. So again, this is another plant that definitely needs to be cut back and trimmed back. You can even start from the bottom. And trim some of these excess leaves so the nutrition can go to growing those cherry tomatoes. And there's no disease on these, so I'm just going to leave them right here. And they can decompose, help hold in moisture in the soil. And it's all good. And as you cut, I like knives, number one, because I'm holding the camera with the other hand. But I also like knives because you will always wash a knife. Sometimes with pruning shears and pruning tools, we get lazy and put them back in a cupboard or in the barn or wherever you keep your pruning tools. We don't clean them. And so if you have things like powdery mildew or any kind of mildew, there's powdery, there's downy, I think is the other one, you will then transplant those spores and encourage those spores in your garden. And you don't want to do that. You really want to discourage that growth. So again, here I'm going to cut a tippy top because this does not need to get any taller. It's going to go right here. So I'm going to, again, just go ahead and cut those excess stems, so the growth can focus. And where there are cherry tomatoes. And so those cherry tomatoes, again, there's some buds here, some flowers. Yeah, we passed that. That's not going to happen. So we're going to cut those leaves, trim it out. And then we can see here some of the leaves where they didn't get that much light, so they're a little yellow. So we can dissolve some of that. Dissolve some of that. All right. Get you over here. All right. Good enough, good enough. All right, so we still got cherry tomatoes here and here. From here, we got one there. So there's still much cherry tomatoing to happen, to occur. Gently and carefully. Over here. you growing and going. All right. So we also have downy mildew happening on our cucumbers as well. But again, now it's the battle. It's the race. It's the amazing race. How many cucumbers can we get before all the leaves are gone and the sky is gray? So this one stem is just holding on here. So I'm going to give that a couple more days and I'm going to harvest that one. I've got one here. Give you a couple of days. You a day or two. Got another one right here. Give you toward the end of the week. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to harvest by the end of this week. Ooh. Thank you, Mr. Bumblebee. All right, you're still coming around trying to do something. That is greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated, my garden. So, again, you got to leave a couple of blossoms. Something might happen. Something might happen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So I got 7 cucumbers. So we're going to hang tough. We're just going to pull off a couple of these bad looking leaves. Again, keep the nutrition in the work of the plant. Keep the nutrition and work of the plant. Feeding the 7. This magnificent 7 must ride to my plate in my house. That's a reference to those of you under 30. That was a movie where these 7 guys, 7 cowboys, a couple miners, and came together by themselves. Not that powerful, but as a group of 7, amazing feats were accomplished and villains were vanquished. So, just one last leaf here. Out of here. Okay. One more here. Alright, and then over there we have green peppers that are starting to, one more starting to come along, so we will keep you over there and loop you back over here. And no luck with Mr. Eggplant. I don't know. I think one of you got stolen by a squirrel or a chipmunk, because I did see a baby eggplant there a couple weeks ago. Dastardly rodents. And again, I'm not seeing any luck with my summer squash. And I did see some buds, and I did see a small plant, but I don't see it anymore. So it might have been a chipmunk snack, chipmunk meal. So we are in the thick of things. We are a little past peak in gardening, but there's still a lot of good greens and good eating to be had. And so don't forget, with your tomatoes, you can do fried green tomatoes, you can pickle tomatoes, you can pickle, you can fry tomatoes. Yeah, that's what I know to do with green tomatoes. And you can just let them get red and do wonderful things with sauces, salads, and just eat them by themselves. One of my favorites is a tomato sandwich, thick slices of tomato sandwich on white bread with mayo. Amazing. Freshly picked, best ever. So this is Arlene Wilson, Yates County Master Gardener, and thank you for joining me on How My Garden Grows. Have a good day.